You know, it wasn't that long ago we drove past the $23 trillion mark on U.S. debt, and it won't be long until we hit $24 trillion, and then 25, 26, 27, until we hit $30 trillion, at which point a couple articles might be written, a few politicians will point it out and tell us how concerned they are, and then it'll go back to borrow, print, and spend just as usual, and who knows when we'll stop. But now we have Trump saying that with the 0% interest rates, it's a great time to spend $2 trillion on infrastructure and focus on jobs. And he's right and wrong. It's a great time right now for them to go further into debt, on our behalf, by the way. Actually, they're not going to debt, we are. But those interest rates are low, but even with these unbelievably low interest rates, we spend as much as at least half of our defense budget every year on just interest payments alone. This game cannot go on forever. At some point, our creditors will realize they're not going to be made whole, and there will be a push for a rise in interest rates. What happens then? What happens if interest rates go up a measly couple percentage points? We'd be looking at trillions of dollars every year just on interest payments alone. We have no more room to do anything without an astronomical risk tied directly to it. So, by the way, to Trump, you want to put people to work. Okay, great, but where does that money come from? Well, it comes from three places: debt, taxing, or printing. Now, do you think it's time to start taxing people more? They're struggling as it is. So, of course it isn't time to tax, and I don't think Trump will add any taxes. Seems like he wants to decrease taxes even more, and I'm all about that. So where do you get this money that he wants? Well, you just get those printing presses at the Fed to rev into high gear. I mean, hey, it's free money, I guess. Well, unfortunately, didn't the Fed just print off $1.5 trillion in one day last week and fed it right into Wall Street, and it did basically nothing? Didn't you just allocate $2 trillion in a stimulus package, and now you want $2 trillion in infrastructure spending? We're broke. I hate to break it to you, but we are completely broke. The road we're headed down, don't be surprised if we experience some hyperinflation. Don't be surprised when consumer prices skyrocket and you're spending $30 on a steak or something. I get the feeling that Trump and Congress as a whole has this idea that the U.S. is somehow immune to the laws of economics. They can distort the economy to no end, and it just doesn't matter. Well, it will matter, and it will come around and bite us in the backside. And you know, this coronavirus has come to us, and it will be gone at some point. And whenever that point is, the economic destruction will remain for a long time afterwards, especially if the government and the Fed keep heading down this road, which I'm sure they will. I have no reason to believe otherwise. And people will say, well, I'll take an economic downturn to help stop the spread of a virus. Okay, but the thing we forget is that it is the economy that provides us with our livelihood. It provides us with the products and services we need to survive. A virus is not the only thing that can kill. Widespread poverty and the destruction and distortion of the market can absolutely kill as well. And by the way, social distancing won't help you there either. What we need right now, more than ever, is for the authoritarian BS to come to an end. Stop the insane spending, slash people's taxes, slash regulations. As we have found out that regulations are an astronomical part of why we suffer and why our hands are perpetually tied. This coronavirus has laid bare how regulated we are, as if it was ever a mystery to begin with. But get rid of all of this nonsense and be safe with those in your life who are elderly or who have a compromised immune system. This is what we need, and we also need for Trump to not become the next Herbert Hoover. And what do I mean by that? I mean that there are still people out there who believe Herbert Hoover, who was some laissez-faire free market capitalist president that took a hands-off approach to the economy when he actually did the exact opposite. Tariffs, taxes, public works projects abound, and an active Federal Reserve. He undoubtedly had an interventionist style about him, and I'm worried that people will look at Trump as if he is some bastion of free market economics as well, when he really was the complete opposite. And when things don't get better under his interventionism, people will erroneously attribute it to a free market that we don't even have in the first place. And on top of that, Trump has been actively moving against this supposed free market. He wants massive money printing, further manipulation of interest rates as if they haven't been manipulated and held down enough already. He wants huge public works projects now, and he's big on tariffs. This guy is a statist in capitalist clothing. He's the 21st century Herbert Hoover. But that is all for now. Please like, subscribe, and share this video, and also take it easy.